All right. Can everybody hear me? Yes. So some of you, I thought I hit the mute upon entry, but if you get on and you're not muted, you might need to hit mute. We have a jam-packed call. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other girls joining us as we get going, but I want to get started. But yeah, we have a jam-packed call. Jody and Dana are going to share so much wisdom with us tonight, and I'm super excited. Can't wait to take notes. I got my pen. But first, I have a few announcements, and this is how fancy I'm going to be with it all. I just have to pulled up on Facebook. But you know what? When you can run a business on Facebook, that's pretty darn amazing. So let me just share my screen. Okay. So. Yep. Well, at first I wanted to highlight, I don't know where things are gone, our team pool party. If you have not seen this, this is kind of, besides Summit, this is kind of Rebecca's next big local thing that we are having, and that is August 4th at Susie's house here in Coralville, Iowa. So if you can make it to that, really try. Obviously, you can see it's going to be a blast. I think we're going to have a Moscow Mule Bar, or at least I want to have one, and we'll probably have a ton of snacks and just lounge and have fun and, you know, do what us coaches do best. So mark that on your calendar. I also wanted to highlight, I know I shared this graphic in our team page today, but these were our Success Club numbers for the month of June. I know June was a pretty hard month, but these numbers are pretty crazy that I know a lot of us were scrambling near the end, and it's pretty amazing to see that all these rock stars were able to help 3 or more people with the Success Club and that total, I can't talk right now, it's that total package, monthly package. So way to go, especially Cassie Lee, Noah 16, Jessica 14, Kelly 12, Dana 10, Brooke 10, like those, that's huge. And my last thing I wanted to point out was, if you are not in this Morning Meltdown group, make sure you get in it and then plug everyone who is somewhat interested in Morning Meltdown in it, because it's, over these next few weeks, it's going to be packed with information. Not too much, but like just one post a day. Tomorrow we're going to kind of dive into the meal plan. On Wednesday, we'll show like a workout move. Thursday, we're going to go live from Summit and answer some questions that people might have. So get your people plugged in there, and you know, so they can see just how awesome this is going to be. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That's another thing I did want to say about Summit. I know a lot of us, there's only about 5 or 6 of us from our team going, but if you're not going, make sure to just kind of pay attention to whether it's our stories, or I'm sure we'll be posting a lot in our team page, but there's going to be a lot of announcements coming, there's going to be a lot of training coming, and we're not going to want to miss just everything that is shared at Summit, and make sure you get your butt there next year. So that will also be announced this year at Summit, where next year's will be. So if you have any guesses, put it in the chat. I'm hoping, I would love for it to be in Nashville or Chicago, but I doubt it will be in the Midwest again, because it was the Midwest last 2 years in a row. So that would be awesome. All right, I want to get us started. If you're just joining us, we're going to hear from 2 of our newest Diamond leaders tonight, Jody and Dana. So just a little intro on them. Jody, first of all, Jody just had a baby, so congratulations, Jody. You look fantastic. Oh my goodness. And she is the very first person to like ever join me in this almost 3 years ago now, which is crazy. And she joined my challenge group of like 3 girls, and I remember she told me she had a goal of 40 pounds. So I was like, okay. Like, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm a brand new coach, but I think this can help. Like, I've seen other people's results, and I have had the front row seat to her entire journey these past 2.5 years, and let me tell you, she is absolutely incredible. But really, and then she signed up as a discount coach. I'm not sure when, but she really got serious. I want to say this past fall, maybe in like October, when you like actually started like inviting people. Like, she was really good at sharing what she was doing, and she shared her stuff and her workouts, but like she never sent those invites, and I'm sure she'll get into this past fall, and since then her business has launched. It's been crazy. It's been awesome to see. So we'll hear all about her. And then also Dana is going to share with us. And Dana, I'm trying to think. I should have looked up when you joined as a coach. I'm sure you remember too. But I just remember you had no interest in anything but the workouts at first. And you were totally against like Shakeology or any of that stuff. But I was like, okay, like, yeah, we'll see. Let's just do Beachbody on demand. And then I remember when you did try Shakeology, it was like a total night and day difference for you. And then you signed it up for the discount coach, still no interest. And then like it just all of a sudden clicked. And I can't wait to hear all like that mindset shift and everything that went for you. But I truly value your wisdom and your leadership, and all the truth that you bring to this team every single day is so invaluable. So I'm just going to pass it over to you guys. I'm going to ask them some questions. And then at the very end, we'll be going back and forth for some Q&A time, just kind of a free for all. So if you guys just want to start like introducing yourself and sharing like your health and coach journey to this point, take it away. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first for this one, and then you can answer that question first. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. I'm not echoey. I was so nervous about that. Okay, so health and fitness journey. I guess I've kind of always been active. You know, in college I ran and stuff like that. But then after I had kids, with all of my kids, like I'm going to be really honest, each one in the beginning, like I lost weight really easy. And then after my second, I ran. Like I was a runner. I didn't like running, but I ran and ate whatever I wanted, and I lost weight, muscle, and everything really fast. Like looking back on those photos now, I'm like, wow, I was like probably the smallest I had ever been. And I had her like 9 months before I ran a half marathon, and it just was not super healthy. I mean, I wasn't necessarily unhealthy. It's just like looking back on that, I did not like look great. But then it was after I had Nell, my third, that like I really struggled with body image and just getting back in shape, because I did not bounce back at all. But I was also not active during my pregnancy, so that's obviously a huge thing. So I was a gym person. I loved the Y, and since I was home, I loved the community. I actually was doing that before too, after my second. But then my third was super clingy, and she's like, I never left her literally for a year. I literally breastfed her every 2 to 3 hours for an entire year. And so I like in January, I was like, so she would have been like 4 months old. I was like, I've got to find something different. Like I want to exercise. I want to get like my body back. It was a lot about image, but I did not feel like myself. I always joked with Erin, like mom life crisis. Like I look back on those days of like my mental health, and it was not good. But, like I just thought it's because I have a clingy baby, you know? And so I actually did do Beachbody with a different coach, and it was okay. It just like, I didn't know her. We just didn't vibe. I mean, I didn't know Brooke either, but and she actually doesn't even coach anymore, which kind of shows me a little bit about like where she was with everything, maybe at the time I signed up. Long story short, I ended up joining Brooke, unexpectedly got pregnant with my fourth, fell off the bandwagon again, because that was another really hard time. But then it was after June that I really wanted to get back into things just with my health and fitness. And I knew that this could work. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't going to quit. Like I'd quit every other time. And I just, for the first time, it was nothing to do with coaching. I just knew for myself, fitness-wise, I mean, I don't like to tell people this because obviously I think that people should be active pre-pregnancy, during pregnancy, and after. But I was like, well, dang, I'm done with kids, so I might as well go all in for the first time ever. So that's kind of where I was with health and fitness, and I just kind of dove into the community and loved it. I don't want to share a lot about my coaching because I think that's one of your questions here. But it goes in my mindset shift, has to do with all like why I started coaching. So go ahead, Jody, tell us who you are and why you're here.
Okay, so my name is Jody, like they said, and I signed up with Brooke like 3 years ago, and it just was kind of like this perfect timing of my son was maybe a month old, maybe 2 months, and I just felt so terrible. Physically and mentally, I was just not good. And she asked me, do you want to join? And I was like, yeah, why not? I'm miserable. And it's just, I didn't want to take pictures with him. I didn't want to go out in public with him. And before that, growing up and in high school and everything, I always played sports and I was always pretty active, but I never did anything with my nutrition. I just ate whatever I wanted, and I played sports all throughout the year. So I was always on the heavier side, but it was never like out of control to other people. I always felt super self-conscious, but it didn't show because I always played sports. So I was always, you know, had it under control. But when I had my son, I weighed, I don't even know, like 40 pounds more than I ever had even before I had him. And then I gained weight after him. And so I had a really long way to go. And so really when I talk about my health journey doesn't start until I started with Brooke, because I didn't know anything about how to be healthy or anything about my body. I just never paid attention to it. I didn't know how to do any of that. So I think when I talk about my health journey, it started a month or two after I had my son. I was the heaviest I'd ever been. I was the most uncomfortable, and it was just terrible. But I gave, you know, I went all in with Brooke on the challenger side. And I think I was a coach from the beginning, but I don't remember. But I never did anything with my coaching until fall of last year. I didn't send my first invite until fall of last year. And I don't really know why. I mean, I think there's a lot to do with my mindset about who I was and who people perceived me to be. And overcoming that was a really big deal to me. But we can talk about that after. But yeah, that's pretty much who I am and where my health journey's been going.
I think a lot of us can relate to both of your stories, which, yeah, those babies could do a number on us. So yeah, let's get into, I mean, and this is, you guys can feel free to take the reins and talk about whatever and anything. But I would love to hear just walk us through your mindset shift from, you know, from just like dabbling this into a discount or just strictly doing it for the discount to really, you know, looking at the business side of it, or, you know, if you're dabbling in the hobby, like what kind of things, yeah, just walk us through what that looked like for you and the kind of the things that went on mostly like in your life or in your head of, you know, I could do this too.
So I'll go first. So for me, like I said, a big part of it was my mindset of who I was and who I thought other people thought I should be. And so it was a huge fear thing of what will people think of me if I ask them to join this group, if I ask them to buy this product, or if I try to sell them something. That was a huge thing for me, and a huge mental barrier of, yeah, I'm getting healthy, but that's not who I am. And then when I realized that, yeah, that is exactly who I am. I am somebody who understands health and fitness. I know how to take care of my body. I know how to do, you know, I know how to figure out how to make it work when you have kids, you know? And so I think that was a huge part of getting over the inviting part. It was, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to help you change your life the way that I changed mine, the way that Brooke helped me change mine. And so that was a big thing for me. The other thing was I started when Brooke did, maybe 2 months after Brooke did. And she has, I mean, look what she's done. We're all here because she started this. And I could be there. If I had done the things she had done 3 years ago, I could totally be there. So that was huge for me when it was like after that diamond retreat, I think, that you went to, and you just like blossomed and you did all these amazing things. And it was like, what am I doing? Why am I working 5 days a week away from my kids when this is clearly something that I could do too? Because I've watched her firsthand go from one challenger to so many and just killing it. So I think that was huge for me. And then, yeah, just the inviting thing, getting over that fear of being rejected or being people going, oh, this girl's trying to sell me something again. I had to kind of convince myself that that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to share the thing that's changed my life. So I think that's how my mindset was shifted.
Yeah, so for myself, like Brooke said, I was strictly discount when I signed on. I did have some people asking me what I was doing. So I was discount with the intention of getting that new Shakeology that I was loving paid for. So I knew I had a couple friends. I was one of the lucky ones, I guess you could say, that like I knew I had some people that wanted to do it with me. So I signed them on as a discount, and then like I was already active on social media. So I was very quickly what I would have considered a hobby coach. So this was probably for the first, like I kind of counted today. So this was last April. So I haven't been a coach for really that long. It was like maybe March, April of last year that I actually signed up as a coach. But for those first 8 months, I would strictly call myself a hobby coach, but like I wanted to be business. Like I saw kind of what Brooke was building, kind of like Jody said, it's not a comparison thing. It's just seeing your potential in somebody else. I follow a couple other of Fit and Fierce coaches that are ones that I know Brooke has met, and I try not to follow too many coaches, but they were ones that truly like I didn't find myself in that comparison game, but more that like, wow, like she's doing it, like if, I feel like I related so well to them, I could do that too. So for myself, this kind of goes into my why a little bit too, but I had a mindset shift like last year, like November, December. I was starting to look for some things to do. And I realized like I had this opportunity right in front of me. Like, why would I go out and look for something else when I'm watching, like Brooke was still building then. And I can think of those girls last year that hit elite and thinking like, and them saying like, I'm just like you guys. Like, if I can do this, you can do this too. And I just remember thinking like, yeah, why can't I? Like, if she did this, why couldn't I? So that was like kind of like Jody said, like that fear of what other people thought of me. So I had to reassess, like, why am I a hobby coach that wants to be a business coach? Like, what is standing in my way of that? So like in November, December, that's where I like really had to do some like soul searching. I had to think about my why and how my why was so much more important to me. Sorry if you hear screaming. Sorry. They're fine. Anyway, and so I just had to really think about that. I lost my train of thought there too. Into business. So what was holding me back was fear. I was afraid of what everyone would perceive of me, just like Jody said, basically. And so I had to reassess that of why I was motivated to do it being way more important than what this girl I went to high school with thought of me for asking her to do this with me. I mean, seriously. Or even my neighbor. I haven't asked a neighbor, but you get what I'm saying. Like, we just put so much value in other people's opinions, but my why was so much more important to me than that. So that was kind of my mindset shift, I guess, right there. And just recognizing that this is a gift and not even a gift, but like we've said, I approached it as like, this is something I love. Do you want to do it with me? Not, this is something I sell. Do you want to buy it? And just kind of rethinking that through in my head.
No, I love hearing those stories, and just that, like that last thing you said too, like, I know we've heard it, but like explain, like when you go to a restaurant, it's so like you would tell everyone about the restaurant or coffee. I heard someone say it the other day, like when you find a bomb pair of leggings, like you share that with the world. Like, do you know where they're made from or what materials in them or all the ins and outs? Like, no. But when you find something that works, like you share it because you would hope someone would share that with you. So like, yeah, I totally can relate to getting over those fears. I'm sure everyone on here can. I kind of lost my next question, but so talk to us about kind of like your power hours, or I don't want to call them because they're not power hours for everyone, or those pockets of the time. And like, what are the non-negotiable things that you do in your business every single day, that like you just strive to do no matter what? If you have 5 minutes, whether you have an hour, whether you have 30 minutes, just like walk us through what that looks like for you guys.
Okay, I'll go ahead. So this was really, really hard for me. So you guys are going to be like, oh my God, this is what we hear all the time. So honestly, my true opinion is if you want it to be a business and more than a hobby, your non-negotiable needs to be everything on the business activity tracker. Even if you only have 30 minutes, then break it down into those 30 minutes and try to at least do all of those things. Your business is not going to grow if you're not finding new followers. You're not going to get new people to join you if you're not inviting. You're not going to get people to stay if you're not engaging with your challengers. You know, it's like a whole that's made for a reason. So like when I read that, I was like, when my business has flourished at its best, it is when I am using that every day, regardless of how busy I am. Like even like I said, if it's 30 minutes that I can sit down while Nell falls asleep. And I personally, okay, so for my power hours, I personally use a checklist on my phone, and it's basically everything on the business activity tracker, but written into a checklist form that I update every single day. So I add like other things too. But my main non-negotiable that I decided I wanted to tell you guys about that's just been really important to me lately is personally my virtual gym girls and my challengers. And like I said, I know that my business will only go so far if that was the only place I put my effort. But right now, I think that's so important. And here's kind of like what my thinking was through this. So when I sign people up, they've put their trust in me. And then typically the main reason for that is they want to see results. They didn't sign up because they maybe want to dabble in this. They want to see results. So I need to give my best effort to them so that they can see results. Then that produces a active challenger, which then maybe they will want to try new products because they saw results and they trust you now. So now maybe they're like, well, what's that energizer? What's that recover? And it's not about selling the product. I'm just saying you're bringing them into the whole picture. And then they love it. And they start to have that mindset of like, well, maybe I could share that with somebody else. And then maybe they become a discount coach or a hobby coach. And then somebody else puts their trust into them. So it's like this whole circle that starts with my challenger in my virtual gym. So what does that look like for me? Showing up every single day in my gym with a post. Now, right now, I've had some coaches contributing with me, and that's fine. I knew this would be a super busy week with MM100 and going to Summit. So like my best friend, doesn't have to be my best friend, one of my best friends, Taylor, has taken it over for me. So I know that somebody is there every day to have a post for them. When that challenger has put their trust in me to show up, they know that then I've showed up for them. They know that they have a place to come to where they're going to get motivation or maybe a food tip or a water check or reflection day or just have some fun. It doesn't matter. Monday through or Sunday through Saturday, they know that they have a place to come to be held accountable because they were looking for results. I have expanded that to several more places like one-on-one calls, and I've been using the challenge tracker a little bit to kind of give different depths of accountability. But really the ultimate thing is just being there for my virtual gym girls and having a place for them to check in, because that's where I honestly tell myself, if all else would fail in this business, I've had 90 people change their lives with me that trust in me right now. I don't want to let them down. So that's personally where I am with my non-negotiable. But like I said, if you want it to be a business, you need to do all of the business activity tracker.
That's so true, Dana. I always forget about the business activity tracker, and I'm still figuring out my power hours or how I'm going to fit this in, because little miss is like a week and a half old. So I'm still trying to figure out my schedule and how this works. But that's a great tip, and I'm going to get to that tomorrow. My non-negotiables, before I was on maternity leave, I'm a full-time out of the home working person. So I had my hour-long, maybe less lunch break to do whatever it is I felt like I needed to do that day, which is, it's a lot. I mean, I know it's not any easier when you're a stay-at-home mom. I've learned that in the last month and a half staying at home with my son, but it's like, when you work out of the home, you don't have time to go to the post office with your kids. You don't have time to do all those things. You have 1 hour of every day to get everything done. And for me, it was deciding that hour was better spent inviting, connecting, and sharing than it was I had to figure out ways to get to the post office or to do paperwork after work or whatever. So that was huge for me, was just figuring out the time and making this a priority. My biggest thing was when you can share your life all day long. And when you're a coach, part of your life should be healthy things. So when you're sharing on Instagram or, posting on Instagram, that should naturally fall into like these are healthy habits I do without being weird. But my non-negotiables shifted, like Brooke said and I said last fall, to inviting and connecting and using social media to be social, not just to scroll through and look at what other people are doing, but to comment on it and to engage with people, because that's what people are there to do. So that's really been something I've tried to really focus on, is not just scroll through on stuff and be like, oh, look what she's doing today, but like actually comment and try to engage with people, whether it's in their stories or their posts. That's been really big for me. And just inviting, just in a non-weird way, just like, hey, I have this really awesome thing that did this really wonderful thing for me. Do you want to do it too? And that's where I've seen really big strides over the last 10 months or whatever it's been. So that's a huge non-negotiable for me, is just sharing what I'm doing and inviting people, like straight up saying, I am inviting you to this challenge group. Do you want to do this with me? Because you can post all day long, but if they're just scrolling through their phones or whatever, they're seeing you, but they're not actually hearing you. So I think that's been a really big thing for me. But yeah, definitely get on the tracker app, or the activity tracker, because when I was using it, Dana's right. You waste no time, because you're checking off these things and you're not like, well, what can I do now? What should I do now? Okay, I have 15 minutes. What can I do? These things work, and they created it for a real reason.
Love it. Gosh, can't remember what you just said, but it was so good. So you have to like type it in the chat. What did you just say? That was really good. Oh, people can watch you all day long, but if they don't invite, like, oh, that's so true. And I remember, Dana, like, I don't know if you follow up with this anymore, but one time you said, like, when you would follow up with people, you would say, like, hey, did you see my invitation? And like, people would be like, what? You invited me to something? So like, just even throwing that word, like, hey, like, you can do this too. We can post and share all day long. I even had like a customer the other day say, well, I don't want to sign up as a coach because no one seems interested in Beachbody. I'm like, well, you've never, shared one post. You've never, like, she just hasn't shared it all. So we've had that conversation, but I just, love all these tips. So she talked to me about and share with us about just your why and your belief in this, and like how that ties into like maybe hitting diamond and your business and where you are with things right now, and like how important is that? Because I know for me, like I always heard your why and your belief is everything, and I was just like, yeah, like I need to get to work and I just need to do it. But I'm like, now that I'm in it more, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's everything. So share with me and share with us like what yours are.
Okay, I'll go first. So my why's kind of shifted throughout this whole process, and just to start, I started as a discount coach. My why back then was I was just so tired of everything, of how I looked, how I felt, everything, and Brooke had what seemed to be the answer. So it was just more about, when I signed up, it was more about just feeling better, looking better. It really wasn't even about feeling better. It was just looking better, and being able to take pictures without being self-conscious about any of it. But that's really, really shifted as I started to figure out who I was. I had a lot of things before I had my son. I had a miscarriage, and I didn't even realize it till I started really digging into my health and fitness, that I was depressed, and I didn't know how to even show that about myself because I didn't know who I even was. So my why now is I am so much more in tune with who I am and who I should be and who I can be than I ever was when I wasn't healthy and when I wasn't taking care of myself. Because when you take care of your body, your mind, you're better able to take care of your mind. And at least that's how I feel. So it was just over these last 2 years, I had a miscarriage after my son before I had Lexi, and it was a totally different situation. I was able to recognize that I needed to go to counseling, that I needed help, that I wasn't mentally able to deal with it. And I never dealt with it with my first miscarriage. So I think for me, my why is I'm so much better able to take care of my family because of how much better I am able to take care of myself. I'm sorry, I'm crying because I don't ever talk about, I really don't talk about these things, but it's just so huge when you start taking care of yourself, and when people start taking care of themselves, the doors that it opens just within themselves is so huge. And to watch my challengers do that and figure that out is huge, because I can talk about it all day. I can talk about how much it's changed my life, but when I watch my challengers struggle through things and then figure it out, it's awesome. It's just amazing. And I didn't do that. They did it, but we have what they need to get through those things. And so that's, a huge thing is I just keep repeating it, but I'm only able to get through this last year and a half because of this, of not just the health and fitness, but the coaching community and my challengers. I just show up every day for them. I couldn't just, like Dana said, they trusted in me. They believed in me. They signed up with me. I can't just be like, I'm having a really bad day, I can't show up. So like, you always have to be there. And I think, more times than not that I've had to show up for them. And that's been huge. That accountability that's there is huge. Sorry, I'm rocking my daughter. She's about to lose her mind. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I have to be my best self because I don't have time to not show up for my family, my kids, my husband, my job, our businesses, all of it, for my challengers and for my coaches. Like, I need to be my best self because I decided to do all this and I want to, and I love it. So I think that's my biggest why right there.
All right, so my why is kind of twofold. Like for myself, what got me here and got me started was really the same idea. Like I said earlier, the mom life crisis. Like I wanted to chop my hair off. I wanted to like get all the tattoos. I wanted a nose ring. Like I wanted all these things. And my husband, like, if you've seen him, like, he'd probably be like, yeah, he's probably for that, which he is. But he was always like, girl, like, what is going on? I'm like, mom life crisis. But really, like, finding this, like I said earlier, I just didn't even realize I was in the place that I did until I had a chance to get healthy and clear my mind, and in a lot of ways. And so I want to have other people, I love, like she said, just to repeat what Jody said, I love seeing my challengers work through those things and discover that for themselves. So that's what got me started. But what brings me back to coaching, and like especially working it as a business every single day when I really don't want to. And I don't know why, like I've been less motivated lately, and last month freaking sucked really bad. And I keep saying that, and my SC points don't show that, but it did. I worked my butt off last month with very little return until the last week, to be completely honest with you. But why did I show up every day? Like literally those days, like I could have thought of a million things to do, was because when I was talking about earlier, like November, December, when I was thinking about looking for a job, the reason for that is because my husband, he teaches full-time and farms full-time, like full-time. And his passion is both. But without getting like way too personal, because his story is his story and it's not mine to share, his mental health can't handle both. His mental health can't do teaching forever. He has a lot of past and he has a lot of his own things to deal with. So he needs to be able to farm someday. And that's all he needs to be able to do. And we've made a lot of sacrifices so that I can be home. And it's not something either of us are willing to sacrifice, to give that up. Like I always think, like, Erin, if I would have never left teaching, like you could be farming full time a long time ago if I still taught full time. He's like, well, we'd have kids in daycare. And yeah, you're right. But anyway, so like, to be honest, like I do have a financial goal, and I do have like a business goal that I decided a year ago. And that doesn't mean it has to happen overnight, and it's not happened overnight. It's taken time. But I know that if I decide not to show up for a week and not to put an effort in, that my why is just going to be one step back farther. And like I said, I've seen other people do this, and I don't know what my goal is, like top of the top, elite. I don't even know. I just know that every day it's a little bit farther and a little bit closer to our financial goal. And that's like what my mind is on right now. And so like really it is so that he can be home working on the farm full time, and that I don't ever have to go back and get a real job, which like, everybody's different, but like, just so you know a little bit about me, like I had a college friend tell me she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom one time. And I was like, I remember going to telling her as we were dating, I'm like, she's freaking crazy. Like, why is she going to school right now? She wants to stay home with her kids. Like, that is not how I was, like, not in a bad way. I love my mom. Both my parents worked really hard full time my whole life. Like, I didn't see stay-at-home moms. So like, this was never like a dream of mine. So like, to think this is where I am now, to consider that like my husband's going to farm full time and I'm not ever going to have to go back and get a real job. Like, I can't imagine any other thing. Like, I can't imagine doing anything else other than like setting our own time, setting our own hours, and just like living our own way. And if you have a corporate job you love, like, more power to you, or a job that's like a 9 to 5 you love and like you want to stick with that, like, that's awesome. But I mean, I guess I'm selfish. I want nothing more than, I mean, we've got livestock, so Jody and whoever else might have livestock knows that we pretty much don't live on our own timeline, but at least we could pretend like we were living on our own timeline without like a real boss to tell us what to do. So that, I will say, like, the financial goal of him being able to be home and me not having to go back to work is what brings me back on the days that I really don't want to. And so like, I do encourage you, if you want to work this as a business, to find that really, really big why. That's really scary to say. And I don't tell a lot of people that, because a lot of people in Carlisle do know that Erin wants to farm full time, but I don't think that they know that that's why I do Beachbody. And so like, find that one that's really scary, but like really motivates you, and then just like cling to it. Because yeah, I really, last month, sorry, there's a bug. I had to really focus on that, and knowing like I was ready to just like give in. Even this month, I don't know why I'm not super motivated. Hope Summit will get that going. But I'm like, if I were to stop now, that's not going to, just like our fitness journey, where's that going to get me a year from now? So.
Love it. And just so you know, Dana, I was totally that girl who was in college, like, I just want to stay home. And I'm sure now everyone's like, who is this girl? But, and I love that. I wrote down that quote, your why is just one step back, like on the days that you don't show up. And that's so true. It's like, and I remember when I first started, I was like, well, yeah, I have a why, but it seems so far off. Like, I know I've shared with you guys that like I wanted to stay home forever. Like, I never want to have to go back to teaching. Like that was terrifying to say. I'm like, well, what if it's not going to come true? And like, it's up to you to make it come true. And it's up to you, like Dana said, like, if you don't show up for this business or whatever sets your soul on fire, even if it's, every day is not going to set your soul on fire, then that why is one step back. And you have to believe, you have to know that this can take you wherever if you want to go with it. So thank you guys for sharing that. And the last thing I want to ask you, and then we'll get into some question and answers, because I know a lot of people have some questions for you, is what would be your like advice for brand new coaches? I know there's some on this call, but I know there's probably a lot that are going to listen to the recording. So what would you say to those coaches? And I know sometimes brand new coaches we all still consider ourselves like brand new coaches, even if we've been in for a year. So what would be your top things that you would tell yourself, or that you tell your brand new coaches today what to do?
So I had to really think about this. Originally, I was going to say, find what works for you. And I kind of said that in the chat a little bit, but I was thinking about this, like literally 5 minutes before the call. I was like, what was I doing? Like when I started to really work this as a business, what was I doing that I felt like positively like affected that? And I will say that PD was huge for me, or just like engaging yourself in the community of Beachbody. And I don't just mean Heart and Hustle. I mean like, the champions page, or just even listening to the national wake up call. Now, you can't take everything and think you're going to do everything, because I was really guilty of that. But listening, hearing other coaches' stories over, and not like scrolling on social media is different, but like listening to these calls that are specific to topics, listening to their stories over and over again, and just being able to relate to them just kept me going. Kind of like I just said, like, that was what kept me keep thinking, like, she was a teacher, she worked full time, and she said she listened to PD to and from work every day, like So I just really thought, I felt like listening to those, I know that that was something I started doing. I've kind of fallen off of that. And sometimes I think, like I said, I'm really unmotivated right now. And I need to go back and look at what am I not doing? And that's something I'm not doing right now. I haven't listened to National Wake Up Call in a few weeks. I rarely check out the Champions page. I'm not losing the spark or the fire, but I'm not feeding it with anything now. I'm a huge believer. Like, I do my devotion, I read my Bible, and I think that's super important. So I don't want anybody to think that. I still think that's equally just as important, but for working this business and keeping this business mindset, sorry, there's like a gnat in here. I really think that that's important. I feel like that's a really boring tip, but for me, it really helped get my mindset in the right place and also get new ideas.
I don't think that's boring at all. I think that's huge. Those national wake-up calls are game changers for sure. My tip would be, don't do what I did and just start wherever you are. Just start. People don't want to see the perfect person with the perfect body that's already gone through all their weight loss. They're not going to look back and see what you did. They're not going to care. They want to see you from, I'm starting this program and I am scared and I have a really big goal, but I'm going to do it. And you can either watch me or you can do it with me. And then share it, show it, do the things every day, follow the nutrition, follow all the stuff. Just do it and share it, because it might not bring people right away, but over time and being consistent, people will start to go, oh, wow, what she's doing really is working. And look, she still gets to have fun. And look, she still eats ice cream and she still gets to go do fun things with her family. She's not, sitting at home working out 3 hours a day in a gym and whatever. So just start wherever you are, start inviting, start sharing. Even if you don't know, you're never going to know everything about this business. There's still things almost every day that I'm like, Brooke, what do we do here? What is this? Like, I don't know. I got to look it up. But it doesn't matter because we have the tools. They're there. We just need to let people know that they're there. That's it.
Amen to both of those. And Dana, with like yours, that is one thing that, we like share and talk about, but that's so true. Like I haven't listened to Beachbody Champion page recently, and I feel like I'm busy with stuff and like excited about things. The summit coming up at the same time, I feel like my drive for this business really is motivated and pushed forward when I'm listening to other coaches' stories and like, oh yeah, she had really young kids too and was doing this, or now she's retired her husband and can do this and this and this. I'm like, so listening to those calls, and I know some of you guys know this, but like my coach Megan, basically my first year of coaching, she had a lot of stuff going on in her life and she was MIA. Like, she was my coach, but she really wasn't there. And I built my business listening to the National Wake Up Call every week, and whatever trainings were on Beachbody Championship, I listened to them, and that's what I did, what they said. I was like, well, they're doing it, so it must work. And yeah, so just wanted to piggyback off that. So we're going to open it up for some time. I know it's getting late, so if you need to go, that's okay. But for some Q&A with Dana and Jody. So I have some questions, but I'll let other people go first. So I'm going to mute myself, and whoever wants to talk and ask them a question, you can just unmute yourself and go ahead, and then we'll take it from there. All right, no one's going, I'll go. All right, I would love to hear how you guys, I know, Dana, you for sure do virtual gyms, and Jody, maybe you do. No, I don't know. So you talk to me, like, what do you do every month to get, and like, how do you get new challengers and sell, challenge packs every single month, and how do you run that, and share what that looks like.
Okay, I'll go ahead. All right, so I do run the virtual gym, so it's open every year. So just so that you understand, and I'm still treading water with this, I do require a challenge pack for that. And if they choose not to buy a challenge pack, I tell them that I'm still their coach and I'll check in with them, but that is what I require for the virtual gym, just pretty black and white. And I do ask if they're not a coach at the 12 months, which a lot of them are now. I do ask them to repurchase the challenge pack. It's a better deal for them anyway, so I don't feel bad asking them to do that. I've had a few ladies do that, and it's also a good opportunity. I've had a lot of girls become coaches at their 12-month renewal. So each month I kind of run the same cycle as everybody else. Like when we run new challenge groups, I do revamp my virtual gym. I don't like close it down or anything like that, but I change the cover, and I invite like it's a new challenge group, and I even call it a challenge group or a boot camp or a challenge group. More often I think I call it a boot camp. And if I would be like in a lull, so like in June, I had already invited to my summer boot camp, which started in June, and then it was pre-MM100. I invited to my summer boot camp again. I just said things like, hey, my summer boot camp is off to a great start. I'm opening a second wave of enrollment, kind of whatever your invite is. I just reword it different ways. So for MM100, I just inviting the MM100 in my virtual gym. It's a little different since we're going to have the specific group. But I'm going to kind of give ladies a choice of where they want to go, if they want to go both, and choose where to be active. So I do mix it up. So since I've started it, like I had a kick off the summer, I had a February one. I've had one almost every 4 to 8 weeks. I've changed it. Summer is usually my longest one that stays open.
With that, so how, like, since it's continual, you don't like shut it down, how do you like onboard, like, so is it like set up like a challenge group where like you only onboard a person, everyone at once, and then like go through a prep week? Or what if someone joins, like, I guess, what does that look like? Do you have like a place, like a photo album or a unit section where it's like, oh, they just joined and they don't want to feel behind if everyone else knows what they're doing and been there for a year? So like, what does that look like?
So 2 ways. One, if they would join like in the very middle of a challenge group, just like if they join in the middle of anybody's challenge group, I did create an album that walks them through, I call it the virtual gym getting started. Regardless of when they join, I ask them to read that, and that walks through Beachbody on Demand, picking a nutrition program. It's kind of like what I made for our Heart and Hustle coach starter guide or whatever, but just very specific to my gym, but very clear cut things. So it walks them through very basic, like containers. I don't highlight all the nutrition, but so I do have, yes, I have an album that I created in Canva that's got taking your weights, taking your measurements, basically those starter days of a prep week, and information about the gym and membership and renewal and canceling up. I don't like to say canceling, updating your bot or your Shakeology, all that. Is in that album. Basically everything they need to know so that nobody can come back and tell me that I didn't tell them. Like I said, I would tell them. It's in the album I asked you to read when you joined. Then I do prep days, just like you guys do in the challenge group. So when I kick off those new groups, even though people are already in there, they love doing it again. They love the remotivation of kicking off prep days again. So I follow pretty much the same ones that I haven't been in your groups in a little while, but I do the same thing. And sometimes the same lingo from that you use. I have those saved still. I don't use them every time, but so we kick off with food, groceries, meal plans, all that when I kick off a new group. So not necessarily every month, but I do go through those prep days. And actually I was worried about that in the beginning. I always apologized. And then one other thing I do is the first of every month I go live. And I don't know how many people watch that, but I just update everybody where we are with prep days. Oh, thanks, Jody. You watch my lives. Kind of, because they see me so much on social media. I want my virtual gym girls to feel like VIP. Like, okay, I'm talking about this new program. Here's what it is, and you can do it with me, like things like that. Just because obviously you can only type so much out. So that's another way I try to keep everybody in the loop.
Sorry, I thought I had unmuted myself. I'm in Dana's challenge group in her virtual gym, and it's perfect. I'm going back to it. Actually, I started a virtual gym beginning of this year, really loved it, and then I decided that I needed to go into the challenge tracker app, and that did not work out well at all. I don't know if you guys have used it, but it's motivation and accountability and connecting starts out fine, and then people stop checking it every day because they get notifications anytime somebody finishes a workout or anytime somebody logs a shake day. So many notifications that even I was getting super irritated by it. So it just didn't work for us. And Mallory, another coach in our group, and I have been running our last challenge group together, and it was a 6-week one for Transform 20 and 2 rounds of 21-day fix. And that went really well, but we are going back to our virtual gym next week. It just works really good for us. I have everything in a unit section. So it just works really well. The information's always there. You're not duplicating it every 3 weeks. You're not, redoing similar content every time. Cause I had to prioritize, and I just don't have time for that every 3 weeks. It's a big deal. So the virtual gym really works well for me, probably because I take a lot of Dana's stuff and rework it to fit for what I want. But yeah, I definitely watch your lives and get a lot of motivation from it. So appreciate you having me in there.
That's the beautiful thing too, Jody. Like you said, like you can try out, like, I know I have a lot of new coaches saying like, I think I want to do a virtual gym, and they're really get really scared. I'm like, well, then do it. Like, try it, jump in, try it. You don't have, it's not set in stone, you can, if it's not working after, give it a fair chance, but after 2 or 3 months, if it's not working, close it down and just do monthly boot camps or 6-week boot camps, or try the challenge tracker app. I know some coaches have great success with it. I feel like almost every coach on our team does it, but maybe someone will. So I think that's an important reminder for everyone. Like, nothing is set in stone in this business. It always can be changed, and always move forward and tweak. So what other questions do you guys have?
So when you guys people start in your virtual gym, say middle of the month or even the first of every month, do you do like an introductory post like, hey, welcome new customer or new coach here? Because I feel like that's why I like the start of a challenge group every month, because then I have that introductory post where it's like, everyone introduce themselves, like show a picture of your family. So it's like everyone's starting at one time, whereas when you have somebody just kind of pop in, how does that work?
Yeah, I'm good at that about 80% of the time. And then when I get busy, I just fall behind. I guess it's an area, I do agree, I miss where everybody introduces. And sometimes I do when I kick off a new group, or not a new group, whatever, a new boot camp. I usually do have that first post be not necessarily like all about yourself, but a little bit about yourself and what program are you going to do. So everyone does get a sense of who everybody is with that. Or I ask a different question, like what time of day are you going to work out, or what are your goals, where I want everybody to comment. I also have a post at the top, a who's here post that everyone is supposed to comment on. For me, it's something I agree. Yes, I like that. And I like when everyone introduces himself with the picture and everything like that. It's a give and take, because I love the way I do it, and like the way it has worked for me, it's a sacrifice, I guess, I'm willing to make, because I did like that. The introduction part. Yeah. I do try to do a post though that's like, welcome Shelly to the group, and then everything about her, but sometimes I slack on that.
Because I think it'd be good to run a virtual gym, because it's so daunting the first of every month. Like, I always add in everybody that I have to a new group, and it's like it takes a long time to add everybody back into that and stuff. So I don't know.
That's what I'm finding with mine is basically last 6 months, I've done every option. I've done the virtual gym, the challenge tracker, and the challenge groups. And people won't accept your invite to a challenge group. So then they end up just not seeing it, and it gets crazy. And so the virtual gym just works better. I still have my virtual gym open, so I'll just put everybody back, or most people are in there except for my new people, and then we'll just run off of that. And it allows you, in my opinion, to focus so much more on your challengers and how to better help them than spending chunks of your time just setting it up and getting them in there. So I think, like Brooke still runs challenge groups every month or every 3 weeks, and that works really, really good for her. And I love her challenge groups. They're amazing, but they're not, you have to find what works for you, and there, like Brooke said, there's nothing wrong with trying them all, because my girls, I asked them, I said, what do you like this virtual gym? Do you want to do the challenge tracker? What do you want to do? And then they felt way more included, and everybody's just kind of on board with, hey, Jody's figuring this out and we're going to help her, and nobody cares. Just winging it.
Cassie, another idea someone just gave to me is like just to delete if you don't want to start a whole new group, you could just like delete the content from your last group and start fresh in that. So just another idea. And I don't do any 3 weeks anymore. I think my shortest one is like 4 or 6 weeks or something like that. The 3 weeks is too long. Plus it's only like 21-day fix. 21-day fix now. Over it. Now we have 100 days. What other questions you guys have for that? I'll go. No, nothing for right now. I would love to hear like how do you guys go about getting new coaches, or getting them and then maybe building them up, or talk to me about that process.
Fine, I'll go. So I really have a hard time with this. I'm not going to lie. I have less than a handful of coaches under me that are wanting to build this business and are coaches to run the business. And Mallory, who's in our group that was on this call earlier, she was really my first coach that was like, I'm all in, what do I do? And I was like, I don't know. Hold on, let me talk to Brooke for a second. And so that's been a huge process, because there is a lot to know, and like her legs are kind of messed up, and that's partially on me because I didn't make sure it was right. So that I'm still learning every day about checking in with them. I think again, watching Brooke, she tells us like, look, I invited 100 people today, and then I commented on it, but I didn't go to my coaches that I'm trying to help build their business and say, I'm inviting this many people, what are you guys doing? I did days later when I realized like, well, Brooke did that for us, so why didn't I do that for my girls? So I think that's a huge thing. I think it was Brooke again that told me, your coaches or your challengers will do 50% of what you do. So you have to tell them what you're doing, or else they're not going to do any of it. So Dana might have a better idea, might have more, but it's always a learning process. And just like when you're adding challengers, when you're adding coaches that want to work the business, you're never going to know all the things. But we have an amazing company and amazing uplines that have done it, and the resources are so there, and they're so willing to help you that I'm never scared to ask the questions, because I know that they've probably had those questions before too. So just keep learning all the time, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I'm very good at this either. That's why we were both laughing, I think, because we're like, oh, nice question, Brooke. I just think, one, not being afraid to ask people more than once, because I know a lot of us, like I was asked several times, and I hate asking my challengers again, because I'm always like, I've asked you like 3 times. So that's one, how I've got my challengers to convert to even a discount coach, is like really like just showing them the value of what they have. And then 2, again, when you invite to a challenge group and they say yes, presenting that opportunity right away. And I think the way you word that can help. I worded it a little different when we had the flash sale. I think I said something more along the lines of like, basically it being like a win-win. Like if you decide, I don't like to say if you decide you don't like it, you can cancel it, but kind of giving them that idea of like, you're not like signing your life away with it. So I think more people were apt to sign up that time because they felt like, well, I guess I might as well try it in case I love the product, you know, for the discount or whatever. And then the next thing, what was I going to say? There was one more thing I was going to say about it. I don't have, like, Courtney's on here and she's kind of working in as a business. She's like really my only one. Well, I guess I have a couple others. I don't feel like this is an area I'm really good at all, but something I have started doing, and my coaches are probably like, Courtney's in that message because she's one of the only people that respond back to me. I like message them all the time. Like I have all my discounts. I don't care how discount they are. I have them all in a message. So like tonight I was like, guys, I'm running the call. I'd love to see some faces on there that I know. Like I just act really excited. Like I want you to be a part of this. I know, and I even say, I know most of you are here for the discount, but like make it seem and feel really carefree. And those are just like, even though they're already that coach, like those are still seeds to be planted to get them to possibly want to. I mean, I didn't work the business right away. Jody didn't work the business right away. So just continuing to support them. And then something recently that I think is helping is I don't know that I'd say this like really about myself. I guess it probably is true. I don't like to give up control. And like my virtual gym is my baby. So like asking couple coaches to take it over for me this summer really was hard for me. But I do think it's giving those coaches a lot of confidence. And so just kind of sharing that with them, those opportunities. So I think that that's going to be one that's really going to help. And I don't mean that like in a selfish way, like I want them to work the business. I mean, like, I know those 2 girls that have done it, they have physically said to me, I'm just so scared to like run a group or things like that, or like to be the leader. So this has been an opportunity for them to try that without a lot of risk, I guess you could say. And Brooke kind of gave me that idea, just give them multiple opportunities to step up, I guess.
Okay, so you both said you're not good at it, but at the same time, you both are diamond, which means like you have coaches and all of that. So don't sell yourself short. You guys know what you're doing, and you are good at it. All right, any other questions? I know we're getting to over an hour. So.
Is that what you do, Brooke? Is right away give them, you have 2 options. It's the same price today when you sign up. You can sign up coach or customer, and then we don't have to worry about the whole $40 enrollment fee, blah, blah, blah. Do you present that right away? You give them the 2 options?
Every time. Every time. I've seen a 180. I started doing that after someone shared that with me back in my October Diamond Comp Leadership Retreat, and someone's like, oh yeah, I sign up probably 90% of people just if they just want to do it as customers for the discount, and then they can always cancel. And I was like, oh. And I don't do that like in front of everyone, but I at least present the opportunity to everyone so that they know, and then it's so much easier. Even if they say no, then, I've used that awesome outline that you shared with us of like, hey, your Shakeology or Energize order is about to come up again. I know we talked about like the discount option. Would you want to go down that route? Now it's like so much easier to just present that opportunity to them. Like, oh yeah, like you did tell me about that. That would make sense because I am loving it and I am kind of starting to see results rather than being like, what? I just started this. Now you want me to be a coach? Like, So.
Yeah, I've worded that a couple of different ways. I think I've shared, sometimes I word it, I say, depending on the person, I say, it's an option I have to pick. So then that's why I'm presenting it to them, because technically you do have to pick customer or coach when you check out. So I've said like, hey, like when I'm saying I need these things from you, I said, and the last thing I need is like, do you want to go coach or customer option? Another way I've worded it before is I've said, hey, are either you or your spouse veterans? Because I would feel really bad if I didn't ask and they could have taken advantage of the discount. And then the third way sometimes I word it is just sharing the discount. And sometimes I'll literally say, I feel like I have to present this to you because if down the road you discover this, like I feel like, what I mean? It's like it's basically a sale, although, I mean, it costs monthly. I used to feel really uncomfortable doing that. But since I found like ways to word it that like benefits them, all about that, like what's in it for them, it's a lot more comfortable for me.
is totally off topic, but have you guys heard of upsharing? Anybody heard of upsharing?
Yes, but I can't remember what it means.
So after you kind of go through and like get someone a challenge pack, you go through the coach or customer option and whatever they sign up. When you send them a share cart, you add on, like maybe they just wanted the Shakeology and VOD challenge pack. Then you add on like an Energize or add on like the 3-day refresh. And just be like, hey, just so you know, I threw on like my favorite, like I cannot live without this stuff, like to work out. I know you're doing, you know, if they're doing T20, like I know you're doing T20, you might want it, but you can totally take it off if you don't want it. So like if it comes to that, like you add one more product on, but then you just share how well it's worked for you. And then they have the option when they're checking out to like just remove it or to keep it on there. It's something that I just started doing it. So like a girl did it today and she just got Morning Marathon 100 Shakeology, signed up as a coach. So I was like, hey, like just so you know, I threw in an Energize. Like I literally cannot live without it. Like I use it 2 times a day. It's my life. If you don't want it, just take it off. And I don't know what she did, but she's like, okay, thanks.
I was kind of doing that. I know I've seen them talk about that in Fit and Fierce a little bit. I was doing that. This is a really cheap and stupid thing. I was doing it with containers when they took the containers off.
Yeah.
I would be like, hey, I added the containers. They're $9 to your cart. If you don't want them, delete them. I said it. I'd be like, the challenge pack. I literally be like, I don't know why, but it doesn't come with the package anymore. So
I did the same thing. And I would actually say like that really the challenge pack is 170, not 160, because it's not complete without the containers. I don't know why they took it off. I feel like
probably because now they have so many different ones, maybe.
Yeah, I guess I get it, but it's like, so I always include them. And then I didn't include them one time, and of course she wants them, so I'm gonna just.
I know, me too. And then I feel bad because then it's like $17 with shipping to buy this if they buy them from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would just, if they come to me about the nutrition part, then I usually say the challenge pack and all the things you need is like the best option's $170. That includes.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Just thinking you could also do like the 3-day refresh, or you know, that's only $44 more. So just thinking out loud. I think I'm gonna try it out with Morning Marathon 100. All right, any other burning questions before we go? Okay, I have one more question. This is from what is your next goal, Jody and Dana? Like, what is your next, like, I am doing this by this date? Making you guys think, putting you on the spot.
Okay, Dana, I'm going to go.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say it out loud because it's really scary. I have a goal. My maternity leave is over October 2nd. My goal is to not go back to my full-time job. It's really scary to say out loud. Whether that means that I can just stay at home and coach, or if I have to get a part-time job. I'm obviously trying to not have to get a part-time job, but I think Beachbody is going to be a huge part of that, whatever it looks like. Not having to go back full-time is my goal. It's really scary to say out loud. It's terrifying. I've always just thought I would work a 9-to-5 job, and like Dana, I had no intentions of ever being a stay-at-home parent, and then I can't imagine leaving ever. It's just too good. It's just way too good. So I got to figure it out, whether it's coaching full-time or coaching 75% of the time and working somewhere else 25%. It's Beachbody's going to be there, and it's hopefully going to let me stay home with her. And my son. My son is just off doing other things.
I don't know. I mean, when people ask me this, and like when Megan asked me this the other day, I was like, she's like 2-star, right? The way she talks, you know, she's like 2-star by December. She's like, no big deal. And I'm like, okay, like, yeah. I was like, yeah, 2-star. So, but I mean, I'm a diamond, and so it's like, why would that not be my goal? Just like when we're an emerald, it's like, why would diamond not be your goal? So, I mean, that is. And now for all of us new Enneagram freaks, now that I know that like achiever is my Enneagram, I know why I don't like saying that, because the fear of not achieving that. So I guess that's my big goal. But lately it is that goal. So like 2-star or premier, whatever, but I think you have to be 2-star to be premier. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. But still, while keeping like my mental check and in check, because I find times and moments where that's not good for me in this, and that doesn't really get me a leg up in the business at all. It probably puts me a leg back. But just not, that's why like I get nervous to say it, because not letting that, since I'm an Enneagram 3, letting that number or that title control me. Because I know I can still be successful regardless of that. So that's my goal, I guess my immediate goal, just to keep working towards. And I know I'm already a shaky diamond anyway, but that would be my immediate goal. But I was just thinking before I said that, like we have a launch right now, and then we'll probably have another launch again, maybe, I guess, a pre-launch. So, I mean, why not? Go for it.
Do it. Why not? Not much to lose. And trust me, guys, I know how scary that is to say what your stuff is, because I've been there, but it's totally doable. You guys can do it. We all can. So thank you, Dana and Jody. Appreciate you guys just giving us your wisdom and knowledge. I have this recorded, so I will make sure to save it and share it with our team tomorrow. So thank you guys. Make it a good one. And Dana, we will figure out your goal and all that stuff on our summit road trip. Sound good? All right. See you guys.